Appleton Area School District. I am Chef Shelley Platten of Healthy Chef Shell, back here again with another cooking video for you to enjoy in my middle of a remodeling project farm kitchen. And I hope you've been enjoying our videos, and this one today is going to be about healthier, happier holidays. And this is a meal idea of more of an appetizer, snack, and a sheet pan dinner that absolutely qualifies as a weekly, any reason dinner. And it also is a great, a little bit more special feeling holiday dinner if you have some guests over during November, December, and want to make something a little fancier, or you need a healthier dip that you can proudly serve at a potluck or at a gathering. These are the two recipes for you. Very simple, very easy, and we're going to try to do some healthier substitutes with those as we're making those. And if you haven't watched my videos before, I'm an adjunct instructor at Fox Valley Tech. I'm also a culinary director at Riverview Gardens in Appleton, and I have my own business, which is Healthy Chef Shell, which I do wellness and personal chefing. So, on to making our recipes. First thing I want to do is to get a pork tenderloin with some potatoes and peppers in the oven cooking, and while that is roasting, we will make our dip. The dip itself is going to be a really fabulous spinach artichoke dip, one of those creamy dips that everybody loves to have at a buffet or at a potluck, but this is a much more delicious, fresher, brighter tasting one that I absolutely have grown to love over the months, any time of year. So first thing we're going to do is get those veggies and our pork tenderloin going on a sheet pan. Sheet pan dinners are so nice because they're just throw everything on, off you go. Very, very easy. First thing we're going to do is get a little olive oil on here, and that is for our veggies. So let's get those ready here. And we have some potatoes I have cut up ahead of time. Let's drain the water off, otherwise they get all brown from being cut up too far ahead. I kept them fresh. And we also have a red bell pepper that I cut up into squares. So now these are, a little bit bigger squares because they're going to be in a hot oven, and we don't want those just blasting away and getting totally dried out and burned to smithereens. So we're going to get some of that oil that I put on there and spread that out on our peppers and put those down on the end in case we need to take them out sooner than the potatoes. They might be done faster. Let's get them down to the end so we can scoot them right off of there. And then for our potatoes, I cut up some red potatoes, and I was looking for little ones in the store, and I ended up with these monster sized ones. You may want to use little tiny Yukon Golds. They work really great too. Whatever you do, just make sure they're all about the same size because they're going to roast together, and you want them done at the same time. You don't want them to be, big old chunks and then little tiny taters. They're going to be a mess trying to get those to be done at the same time, right? So let's get that tossed with the olive oil, or avocado oil is another good healthy choice. And let's spread those out into a single layer. And we are going to wipe the oil off the hands. And when the potatoes are done, we will toss them with some dried, like an Italian seasoning or dried oregano and thyme and herbs like that, just to give them a nice little flavor after they come out of the oven. I don't want to put the dried herbs on now because they'll tend to burn and dry out really bad in the oven at this higher heat. We are at 375, by the way, preheated. I'm going to do a little sea salt here, sprinkled over the potatoes and peppers. Whoa. I don't mind this brand, but the holes are really big on top. You gotta be careful with how you sprinkle. It tends to come out of there really fast. Now, for our pork tenderloin, really popular in the store right now is like Hormel or Smithfield, different brands have these pre-marinated pork tenderloins. They're marinated with seasoning, and they have pork juice in there and some vinegar, which is an acid, and it helps tenderize. Guaranteed this is always going to be juicy, tender. You never have to worry about this ever being a dry piece of pork. It's already flavored for you. Very convenient, very easy. However, you cannot control the sodium on this. So if you are watching your sodium, I would definitely recommend using, like a minced garlic like this, the juicy kind of minced garlic, some salt and pepper, and rubbing that on a plain tenderloin yourself if you want to avoid excess salt. This is a little salty for my taste, but I understand it is a very popular and convenient, easy product to use. We are going to cut this out of the bag and get this dried off. Now I know it's got this nice marinade and sauce on it, but we also don't want it sopping wet when it goes into the oven. Not good. And while this is getting ready here. We're also going to have our skillet heating up high, because the other thing we like to do before we put this in the oven is we want to give this a good sear on the outside. I'm just going to wrestle the packaging off here. Now we'll get that tenderloin out of there. And throw that yucky thing away. And now let's take a paper towel and pat some of this excess water and juice off of here. The reason we're doing that is we want to sear this in a hot pan, and we don't want this sopping wet, because then it's going to steam instead of get a nice sear on it. I don't mind if there's some of this doodah on here from the marinating. Now when I check it over, this has some fat on it. You can easily take that off with a sharp knife if you like, if you don't want all those big slabs of fat on there. Usually they're pretty trimmed down because it's a tenderloin. Now if you do have silver skin on there, there's a difference between, you can just scrape some of this fat off, then if you see this kind of shiny, silvery, kind of pinstriped membrane on there, that is called the silver skin. And if you slip the point of a really sharp knife under there, you'll want to take that off, because that does not melt into the meat like fat would. Fat has a tendency to just kind of melt and make it nice and tender. Silver skin does not melt. It just stays tough and sinewy no matter what you do. So if you can just get under that silver skin and kind of carve that off of there, if a little gets left behind, that's fine. If you want to leave a little fat on for flavor, that you can also do, but like I said, these are marinated, they're pretty darn tender the way it is, so you don't have to worry about it. So just get any of that little silver skin off of there. The sharper the knife, obviously, the easier this is, so this knife could be a bit sharper. So get that membrane off of there is a great idea. So it's no fun to try to chew that. It is not chewable, that is the thing. It just tends to stay tough and sinewy. Alright, got that trimmed off. We're going to throw those trimmings away. And now our pan should be nice and hot. And what we want is a large skillet over a medium-high, pretty high heat, a little touch of oil in it. And what we're going to do is sear this for about 5 minutes or so, get it nice and seared on the outside. That's going to seal in juices, build flavor, get that nice brown outer crust on it, and you will have a better result when you roast it. So let's get this seared off in the pan. Get that sizzle, that's what you want to hear. Okay, let's get that pork tenderloin out of the skillet. I want to sear it nicely. Look at that beautiful sear on there, both sides, beautiful. Now all we need to do is just lay that pork tenderloin right on the pan here. Potatoes are here. Let's get this all in the oven and rolling away at 375. We're going to set the timer for 20 minutes, and we're going to test the pork at that point and get it to about 145, 150 with a digital thermometer. So let's get that set. All right, 20 minutes, we will pull that out. Then while the pork is resting about 10 minutes before cutting it, and to bring the temp up a little bit, we can give those potatoes a little more time. They may need it depending on how big you cut them. So we will check that in 20 minutes. In the meantime, let's make that dip. I'm so excited about this dip. I just can't wait to eat this. It's so good. All right, get our bowl out here. This is a deconstructed spinach artichoke dip. We start with the creamy ingredients. We're going to have some yogurt, some mayonnaise, and we're going to have lemon and lemon zest, salt and pepper to taste. This is just a really fun recipe. Now, I'm using some Greek yogurt and some mayo here. Get out my measuring spoon. All right, I am using, first of all, we have 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise. I just happen to have this vegan avocado oil mayonnaise. You can use regular Hellmann's Light, whatever you prefer. Just gotta have some mayo in there for that tang and that nice creamy saltiness that mayonnaise provides. And we also have some Greek yogurt. You want some really good quality, thick Greek yogurt. How about some plain unflavored yogurt? 2 to 3 tablespoons. I'll just put what's left on the spoon in there. This happens to be my favorite brand. I like Siggy's yogurt. I also absolutely love this Skyr, which is a Icelandic, super thick. I mean, you saw how thick that was. It's just like sour cream. It just sticks on the spoon like that. This happens to be a little bit lower fat, but it's super high in protein, super high in calcium, full of probiotics. You can use it like sour cream. Worth every penny. It's a little more pricey than like say Yoplait or Dannon, but there's no sugar and stabilizers and gelatin in this. Absolutely amazing. I buy it at either Woodman's or Festival. And then we have, this is the real kicker in this recipe, some fresh lemon. Get out your microplaner or a fine zester shredder. Let's get that in there. And you shred a bunch of that fresh lemon peel in there. Really, this makes such a difference. And then we're going to cut off a chunk of the lemon. And there's no seeds in that part. How handy dandy is that? And then let's say, about 2 tablespoons. We're going to squeeze that fresh lemon juice in there. This is so good. I just love this freshness in here. Ooh, yum. All right, we're going to have just a little salt to start. You can always add a little more at the end. A little bit of black pepper. All right, now all the goodies are going to get chopped up in here. Now we have that yogurt, mayonnaise, lemon, salt, and pepper. You thin this out, this is actually kind of make a cool dressing in and of itself. This is real creamy, very tangy, lemony. Set that off to the side. Now all the goodies go in. Going to have 2 green onions. Get those little roots cut off. Some of those greens, but not all the greens. Paid for them. Might as well use them, right? They're super fresh and green. Let's get that cut up. It's a nice mild onion to put in the dip. Want a thin slice. Use a bunch of those greens up. All right, you're jumping ahead here. Nice, come on. All right, you crosswise cut those a little smaller if you want. You can use a scallion if you want it really mild. You can use red onion if you want some more color. I just love green onion. It's a nice, fresh, grassy flavor. Just really hits the spot with dips like this. All right, get that into the bowl with the white creamy filling. Sounds like we're talking about Twinkie. This is no Twinkie. All right, we have artichoke hearts. You can use water pack if you'd rather avoid the extra fat and you're kind of watching fat calories, that type of thing. If you have oil marinated ones, they're more rich and decadent. I'm a Costco shopper, so yep, we always got that big monster jar of artichokes because I just love throwing them into hot pasta dishes. I just love artichokes. We eat them all the time. So we're going to just rough chop those. And like I said, oil pack ones are a little more richer, decadent. Otherwise, just buy the 14 ounce, like a basic bean size can, 14 ounce of the water pack ones. Drain it well. And if you'd rather have the less calories and fat, use the water pack. All right, got those rough chopped. You can throw all this in a food processor if you want to. I like a little texture in here myself. There we go. Artichokes in there. All right, well, it wouldn't be spinach dip without spinach. I just can't get myself to use the box of frozen grass clipping spinach. It always reminds me of like when you clean out your lawnmower and you got that big wad of wet, chopped up spinach. It works. Chopped up raw spinach is a great way to get spinach into all different kinds of things. I just love this little bit fresher version. You stack those leaves in a pile like that. Cut them this way, or like I said, blitz them in your food processor if you don't want to hand cut and hand chop. I like that this dip is a little bit more chunky. It's a little bit more, not so soupy, processed feeling. Enough processed gooey things on the holidays, right? I would just like to have something a little fresher. This also makes a great spread inside a wrap. Oh, this is an awesome wrap sauce to put inside if you're going to pile in some chicken and more spinach and tomato, sun-dried tomato, roasted peppers. Ooh, that'd be a great wrap. Good way to use up the rest of that. Okay, now here's the other fresh greenness here, so good. We have some fresh mint. Now you're thinking, whoa, wait a minute, I want this tasting like toothpaste. Mint, when used judiciously, just gives this beautiful, fresh cleanness, especially when you're using high-fat, creamy things. We're not talking about big, giant chunks of mint like you're eating a chocolate mint brownie. This is finely minced, and it's in the background, and it just adds a beautiful, fresh coolness. I like using flat leaf Italian parsley. You can use the regular crinky, curly parsley if you like. But we want a good wad of parsley. We're also going to chop that up. Nice sharp chef knife. And again, you don't like hand chopping or you don't feel safe doing it, get out your food processor. Just don't grind this down into a paste. Promise me you'll leave a little texture. That's what makes this such a good dip. All right, so everybody in now. We have our mint, our parsley, even fresh dill would be nice in here. If you like dill, it goes great with these ingredients. All right, oh yum, this is gonna be so good. Last but not least, and this is where you determine how much parm you want in here. You can put this whole thing in there, you can use half of it. Notice I did not start out with 2 packages of cream cheese. That we're not doing. So we're gonna put a big old wad of Parmesan in there, Asiago, anything like that would be a nice aged, sharp Italian cheese. Don't mess around with something bland like provolone because you're just going to keep adding it and not even taste it's in there. This dip has a lot of assertive. It's got the bright lemon. It's got bright fresh herbs. It's got the tangy sour artichokes. It's got a lot of tang, a lot of salty, tangy, fresh greenness. Look at that. I mean, this is nothing like the soggy, gropey, cooked to death kind of spinach dip you've seen. Although I like that hot, you know, with the French bread and you dip it into that. This is just so different and so refreshingly good. I just love this. Something a little different. All right, surprise your guests, surprise yourself on a holiday buffet here and give yourself something fresh and delicious like this. It's so fun. All right, in it goes. And if you want this more creamy, more sauciness to it, definitely by all means throw in another couple spoons of yogurt or a little more mayo. It's up to you. I like it more chunky like this. I just happen to have some grissini, skinny Italian breadsticks. So you have your beautiful green dip. I have some just little silly little sesame sticks to go with this. So that's our lovely green spinach artichoke, much fresher dip, also great as a wrap spread for making a delicious, like say, a chicken roasted pepper wrap. So that is our dip. I will be back when our pork tenderloin and potatoes are done roasting, and we'll get those sliced up and served. We'll be right back. Okay, we took that pork tenderloin back out of the oven at 20 minutes, about 18 to 20 minutes. It was temping about 150, 155. That's great, plenty, because it will cook another 5 degrees as it sits. You can have pork be a little pink nowadays in the middle. You don't have to cook it to death till it's 175 degrees and it's shoe leather. These pre-marinated seasoned tenderloins really make it foolproof. They're very tender, very juicy. If you like to have a little less salt and do your own flavoring, then by all means buy the plain one like I mentioned in the beginning and rub it with minced garlic and seasoning and do your own version of the seasoning. But this is the pre-seasoned one. You can see our potatoes, 20 minutes. I gave about 5 more minutes after I took the pork out just to get them a little more roasty, but they're nice and tender. A little bit of mixed herb blend on there, and it's just fabulous side dish to go along with your pork. Let's slice this baby up and get it on the plate here. Oh, this is just like super, super juicy. A little hint of pink in here. You can have it even a little more pink than this if you like. Like I said, pork does not have to be cooked to death nowadays. That's an old fallacy. So this is super, super juicy. I let it sit for at least 5 minutes after it came out of the oven. That's how you make darn sure that you don't let all that good juice run out on the cutting board, because that's a nasty place to end up with all your flavor. So we have our pork tenderloin here, just beautifully done. Very simple. This is an elegant, beautiful dinner. You could serve company. You could just have it as a weeknight. The leftover pork is great in sandwiches, on a bun, chopped up in a stir fry. One last thing to jazz it up. I have some grainy brown mustard here, and I'm adding that to, this is just a whole berry, well, it opens upside down for some reason, but whole berry cranberry sauce. I put that in a bowl, and boy, there's no measuring involved here. Just squeeze in some nice grainy brown, like a nice spicy German mustard, and you stir that into your cranberry sauce. Hint, this is great with pretzels. Let me tell you, this is awesome with pretzels. And this cranberry mustard is just a beautiful tart complement to put right over that pork. Beautiful contrast. Cranberry and pork, they just love each other. You can throw that on there. Look at this. Ooh, it's just all ready for the holidays. Look at that. Parsley garnish, cranberry mustard sauce over a flawless, no-brainer pork tenderloin and roasted peppers and potatoes. Oh yeah, and then we got our beautiful deconstructed spinach artichoke dip for appetizers. Oh, this is such an easy, wonderful meal. Serve with a fresh fruit salad, your favorite dessert, and you are set to rock and roll. So thank you for joining me. This is a healthier and happier holiday meal suggestion with Healthy Chef Shell, Chef Shelly Platten. So thank you, Appleton Schools. I'll be back with you with more cooking videos this fall. Thank you. Be well.